December 2015 is a time of rejoicing for strategy RPG fans. Summon Night, a strategy RPG series that has remained Japan exclusive since its creation, has finally gotten a game coming west. In anticipation for the upcoming game Summon Night 6, Gaijin Works has worked with a few other developers to bring the last game in the series, Summon Night 5, over to the west. It is out now in North America and is scheduled to release in Europe sometime in Q1 2016. So here is my retro review of the PSP game, which is also compatible with the PlayStation Vita and PlayStation TV, Summon Night 5. The story of Summon Night 5 takes place in the world of Lindbaum, an alternate reality version of the same location from the other games in the series. Lindbaum serves as a bit of a hub world that can open up dimensional gates to other worlds where other species live. Imagine it like how Heimdall opens up a gate between Asgard and Earth in the Marvel Universe. In the middle of Lindbaum is a guild called the U-Cross Summoners. These are specially trained individuals who have a pact or an agreement with a cross, which can be another human or another species, that have such a tight connection that they become inseparable and they can power each other up. You play as one such summoner who got their cross at a very young age. The game chronicles your adventures as you protect the city from various threats, as well as discovering a threat that not only is catastrophic, but also that you are inadvertently directly involved in. The story of Summon Night 5 isn't a bad story. The game does a really good job at using its first couple chapters to explain how the world works, so it works as a standalone game since this is the first game of the series that's actually come west. The one thing I'll say that's bad about the story is the translation. Every once in a while, you're going to find a situation where an incorrect word is used. Most of the time, it's a word that sounds similar to the word that should be used, but the wrong word is just thrown in. Normally, if this happens once or twice, just brush it off and don't worry about it, but this happens all the time. Summon Night 5 is a turn-based strategy RPG. The game has you running around on a world map, which I will say is the most different and unique world map I've ever seen in an RPG. There is a world map where you can actually run around the world map and go to various areas, but the way they implement it is very different. The world map itself is flat in 2D, but you are a giant 3D character model. Seeing a 3D character model running around on a flat 2D map is very different, kind of weird, but kind of unique at the same time. On the world map, there are various areas you can go to interact with NPCs and start cutscenes, but there are also facilities you can use. The first facility is the U-Cross headquarters. This is where you can take on missions or do rematches of previous story battles. You'll need to use this as there will be a few times in the game where you need to stop and grind for some materials and levels to beef up your party for some of the harder boss fights. The second type of facility is the shop. The first shop is the bar. In the bar, you have your personal room where you can actually go and view the gallery and save your game, but you can also use this facility to shop for accessories to equip on your party members. The other shop is the Blacksmith shop. In the Blacksmith, you can use materials you've gained from battles or missions to upgrade your equipment or even your cross's abilities. When you're in battle, you have the basic strategy RPG setup. You put your units on a grid with enemy units, and you go through in turn-based battles until either a win objective is completed or a lose objective is completed. The objectives are a bit varied here because it isn't just destroy all the enemies on the map. Some will have you destroying all the enemies on the map, others will have you targeting only the enemy leaders, and some of them are survival missions. As you fight, though, there are a few other things that are unique to the game that you need to watch out for. The first is the Brave system. As you play the game, you will increase and decrease your Brave meter. Increasing your Brave meter is done by doing various objectives in the missions, like being the first to strike or taking out more than one enemy at the same time. But it goes down whenever a party member of yours dies or when you defeat an enemy. If the Brave meter reaches 0, you'll get an automatic game over, whether you're doing well or not, so it's something you might need to keep an eye on. MP, or magic points, is done a little different here as well. MP is used to cast skills like healing spells, but you can't use items to replenish this. Instead, the game has you gaining MP whenever you attack or are attacked. So if your healer wants to use the group healing spell, they're going to have to fight and take down some enemies before they have enough MP to cast it. The last is the Cross and Awakening system. Once you've done a battle for so long, you can awaken your character, which is essentially like Trance from Final Fantasy IX. For a couple rounds, they will enter an awakened state, which will increase their abilities. Once you complete a battle, you will get experience, and everyone who participated in the battle will have experience they can use to level up. The level up system is a little unique because you manually level your characters up. They come out of a battle with a certain amount of experience points, and you manually do the level up process. You gain stat increases from the level up process, but you also get bonus points that you can use to increase whatever stats you want. What stats you can increase and how many points per level you can increase this depends on what class they're equipped with. Now let's talk about the difficulty of the game. When you first start the game and go through the first few chapters, you're going to feel like you're going through a casual strategy RPG. I would say the first 6, 7, 8, even 9 chapters are only maybe an hour, a little over an hour long, and only consist of a few easy battles. However, when you get to chapter 10, everything changes. Chapter 10 through 15 are on a completely different level, and there is a gigantic difficulty spike there. It's good that the game finally starts a challenge, but it really makes the difficulty feel unbalanced. As far as length is concerned, I would say a single play through the game from start to finish should take you about 25, 30, 35 hours. The game's replay value mostly comes from wanting different endings. New Game Plus doesn't really transfer over much other than items, so the main thing that you're going to want to replay this 30-hour RPG for are the different endings. There are more than 12 different endings. You have endings for various characters. You have an ending for which of the 4 cross partners you decided to use during that playthrough. And you have the normal good, bad, and true endings to work for. If you really get into the story and love it, you will probably be encouraged to play the game several times. If you don't really get into it and endings aren't that important to you, you'll probably only spend the 30 hours to go through it once. As far as the presentation is concerned, I'm very conflicted with it. The game actually looks really nice for a PSP game. The 3D graphics have a lot of detail to them. It's pretty much a fully 3D strategy RPG, world map aside, and it even has the visual novel character models move during cutscenes, which is really rare for a PSP game. However, there is a noticeable blur when you're playing this game on the Vita and PlayStation TV. It's something you can get used to, but it is very noticeable. The rest of the presentation I don't have a problem with. The music is very enjoyable, the load times are to a bare minimum, and the frame rate stays steady for the entire time. It's just the fact that the visuals are blurred. Summon Night 5 is a fine introduction to this series for Western gamers. It's not perfect because it does have a few things wrong with it, like the translation with incorrect words being used, the blurry presentation, and a very unbalanced level of difficulty. But if you're up for a challenge and don't mind a few misplaced words, I would definitely recommend this game to any strategy RPG fan. Reviews to go. Rate Summon Night 5 a 7 out of 10. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below or head to my site at www.reviewstogo.com.